a sling anymore. Yay, on either arm. I took a tumble a few weeks ago and was a little bit bashful about getting online. I had a beautiful black eye. Still have a little bit of a, you can see right there, I've still got a little bit of a knot, but at least the black eye's gone, the black lip's gone, big fat lip's gone. Hi everyone. Hopefully this is going to work a little bit better. If you guys can let me know if you can see me now. I feel like the Verizon guy, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? If you can, that's great. If not, I'll try a different network again. I'm trying this on my iPad now, so we'll see how it works. I had some questions, I believe, so if you don't mind popping those back up so I can see them again. Right now, like I said, I'm trying a different device to see if it'll work a little bit better. I'm not in a sling anymore. Yay. Okay, yep, I got that. And we'll see if I can read some of these questions. Okay, what do you see happening with Edge's story? So Edge's story, this is from Tracina. Hi, Tracina. So this is from Tracina. She's going, what do I see happening with Edge's story? Edge's, of course, in the Alliance series. Okay, there's going to be a tie-in, and there's a reason why I had to write Destin's book before I could write Edge's. And a lot of times I don't see this until after I've already written, or I'm in the middle of writing a book, and then I see, oh, that's why. And there's a definite connection between the characters in Destin's story and what happens with Edge. If you remember, some of the women from Earth had been taken off of Earth, and so we're going to find that one of the women is the one that actually helps Edge, finds him and helps him. So there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of adventure, and some interactions where they're returning to Earth, and you're going to see Destin again. And so there's a lot of, like I said, interconnection, and we'll see more characters also from some of the other different series. Tracina also says, I'm looking forward to Pearl's story. Okay, I have to share this. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to. So, if I could see how many people were able to get back on. Let's see if you can tell me, because I know I'm doing this, so it'll be recorded. So even if you miss it and weren't able to get back on, I'm back. I'll have this for you. Anyway, with Pearl's story, I had the best introduction this morning to it. I don't know why I get these off-the-wall thoughts at the random moments, but put it this way. Pearl's story is going to be starting with two ornery twin dragons who have got a big chip on their shoulder, one exasperated goddess who is doing everything she can to try to right a wrong, and she's going to need Pearl's help in getting these two guys whipped into shape before they can go. So I wanted you to it was really hilarious because, okay, I've got to share this with you because this goes with it. If you remember, we had Pearl's 20 Rules for Living. And in Tina's story, when it started out, Pearl was in the bar and she was wiping the debris from the recent fight from her rules for living. And so I had the thought of, basically that's the way the story is going to start out, is she's going to be dealing with, she's going to be polishing her 20 rules and reflecting on them when she gets unexpected company. And Pearl, being Pearl, isn't intimidated at all by these two huge dragons. She's just like, I'm not putting up with this. I can take you, I don't know who brought you into this world, but I'm the one that can take you out. So Pearl's just kind of got that personality. And of course the guys are like, whoa, I'm not sure how to deal with this. And the goddess is like, yes, thank you. So there's a lot going to be happening with that. And I have to write Pearl's story so I can write another story which will lead into the Twin Dragons story, which ties into Jacqueline's, which then will lead into Anakatira's story. So yes, I know it's strange, it's weird how I can get all of these stories where they are all like interconnecting, but it's their world, so I'm just relaying what they're telling me. Tracina, I did answer your question about Edge's story, so if you didn't catch it now, then I will replay it, but it does tie into what happened, some things that happened in Destin's story, and with the women that were taken from Earth. Abigail, I don't know if you were able to get back on. If Abigail's there, let me know if you were able to get on and that the video is playing right now. So hopefully it is. But hello. Okay, I did move, so hopefully the live feed is working better. Ashley says she loves my books. Hi Ashley, thank you. Lots of the feed. All right, Kim said that our book club was reading Abducting Abby last week and loved it. Abby is actually, I believe, the second or third book I wrote. Believe it or not, I can't remember. I used to know automatically, but I've written so many books now. But I do know the 4 books that I wrote at the very beginning were Lily's Cowboys, Abducting Abby, Tink's Neverland, and River's Run. And those 4 books were written during a time in my life where I like to call it my period of rebellion against the world. And so I was reading a lot, and it got harder and harder to find something that I liked. My problem is with characters, I wanted to read about heroines and heroes that were strong, that didn't have to wait until 3 pages before the end of the book to fall in love, that were mature enough to understand that if they had a misunderstanding, that they could work it out. It's like, being an adult about it. I definitely did not want characters that were too stupid to live. They call that the TSTL syndrome. I did not want that. And so it was really important for me to see, if I could write the characters that were in my head, the ones that I really, really desired to read about. And so that's how, with Lily, her story actually came about listening to country music. Of course, that's where Lily's Cowboys come from. And I was feeling, pretty, like I said, rebellious, against the world and this, that, and the other. And so, music plays a big part in my writing. And so different scenes, I'll listen to different music. And at the time I was listening to country music with Lily. And it's really funny because I was listening to another song, and it's the one that gave me the idea for Touching Rune. And with Abby, I've always had a love for dragons, and the idea of having a dragon shifter, but then I knew that there needed to be something more. And I like the fact that in the dragon series, you've got these 3 different entities. You've got the 2-legged form, male or female, the dragon form, and the symbiote form that all have to live together in harmony, and they don't always. And it's kind of fun having them having such distinct personalities within that one body. But if you grow up that way, you've kind of, you're used to dealing with it and everything. But it's kind of like, sometimes dealing with yourself when you're like talking to yourself and you're like, you really need to get your act together. And you're like, well, I don't want to get my act together. I feel like throwing a temper tantrum right now. And yes, I do that sometimes too. So it's like talking to yourself and trying to be motivational. And it's like having those voices in your head talking back, going, well, you know what? I just don't care what you say. I'm like done with the world today. I'll deal with it tomorrow. So I'm trying to get the comments. So I may have to switch this. Let's see if I can turn it without losing everyone. And we'll see. Oh, I don't know if that's going to work. Alright, I'm going to have to get creative. Told you it's been a while since I've done this. So I can either say, get embarrassed and just say to heck with it, or just say, you know what, that's part of life. And I've learned to say, if the world doesn't end by it, I'm doing good. So anyway, I'll continue talking, and hopefully I can get some of the comments up so that I can read them. And let's see if I can get it up on here, because I really want to read your comments. Let's see. Okay. Well, I'll post that. Keep. And we'll see if we got this going. If I do, you guys are going to see me dancing in my seat. I love doing that. Alright. I am determined to figure this out. You know that, guys, don't you? It's part of me tenacious. Alright, I'll figure it out. Anyway, so part of what I've been doing is I'm working on finishing the Seven Kingdoms series I was telling you about. And what that is actually 8 books. I had started writing the series, and it was all supposed to be about a 2,500 word story. Well, the first one I was able to keep at about 2,500 words, but I wasn't satisfied. There was so much of the story I was having to leave out. So the next one was a little bit longer. I think it was probably about 8 or 14,000. And then the next one, it ended up being even longer. And then by the third one, it was like, okay, I had to do part 1 and part 2 because there was just so much of the story. And even with that, I wasn't telling the full story. So when I got to Jim and Ross, I fell in love with Ross. Oh my God, he's like the ultimate bad boy. And who, by the way, you're going to see a reference to him in the first book, because there was another twist to that. And so anyway, I'm doing this, and I'm realizing by the time I got to the part with Ross and Jim, I'm like, okay, that's it. I have got to write the full stories, because I'm just leaving too much out. You know, the fun, you know, the sexy parts, the fun parts, the laughter, the suspense, the tears. You know, there's just so much that, you know, that the characters are saying, you know, it's like, you're not giving us our full due. So I realized I needed to do that. And because the way I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and write all 8 books. I've already got 6 of them almost done. So, you know, that makes it a lot easier. I did break my arms, you know, the one arm and then the wrist. So it was a little bit more, put me behind. But I'm determined to finish this up so that I've got that done and off my mind. Then I'm going to write Adelar's story. And I've got to write Pearl's story, which I'm not even going to try to keep it a novella for the Embrace the Romance, Pets in Space 2. I'm going to let them tell the story, and if it ends up being a full story, then they're just going to have to deal with having a full story in the anthology, because I am not going to cut Pearl short. Pearl is just too important. And I do have to tell you that Pearl is a lot more like Riley. The reason for that is because if I'd have put Riley, Tina, and Pearl all the same personality, it just wouldn't have worked. I mean, the household would have been completely devastated. So you needed Tina to kind of be that balancing between Pearl and Riley. But you'll see where Riley gets a lot of her personality from. And I love Pearl in that she reminds me a lot of my own grandmother. My grandmother she wasn't a very big lady. And she, yes, she did have a shotgun with salt rocks in it. And she wasn't afraid to use it. She would just take off. You know, if she wanted to go fishing, she went fishing. If she wanted to go camping, she went camping. If she wanted to go halfway across the country, she packed up her van that she had modified and she took off. So I had a grandmother who, you know, I spent the summers with her, and, you know, we had a great time. So, you know, Pearl reminds me a lot of her because my grandmother was, enjoyed life, and I miss her a lot. I spent a lot of time with her. So that was one of the things that I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to do. And so after I write Pearl, then I'm focusing on Rorik and then Jarman. And Jarman's, I'm really excited about that one. Not just because I get to visit with the Frenchmen and the robots again, but, you know, I love Jarman and I love Jane, you know, just seeing glimpses of her personality. So I'm looking forward to that. And then what other books am I working on? Okay, after that, I've got Course Attack. I have the second book in the More Than Human. Of course, when Pearl gets released, then it's leading into another Dragling story, which will also lead into another, the Twin Dragons. And then, of course, I've got Edge. I've got so many books that I can't wait to share with you guys. So many stories. So, another thing that's really cool, let's see, I've talked about recovery. Yay. I talked about my work in progress. I don't know if everybody was able to hear the little bit that I read. Hopefully you did. If not, then I'll go ahead and redo another video and I'll post that for you so you can hear a sample of the work in progress that I'm making. Pearl's story, the Dragon's Treasure, and then Adelar and Samara's story, which, of course, I'm looking forward to that because there's a lot going on with it in that you've got, you know, Adelar, you've got all of the other characters, especially Paul, and Samara and dealing with her brothers. So we're going to find out a little bit more of what's going on Earth when Adelar ends up coming back. Okay. Oh, I'm wondering if I'm figuring this out. Okay. Another thing that I'm going to be doing is, we're going to be announcing it, but June 1st, I'm opening an online store. And in that online store, I'm going to have a wide variety of stuff, including autographed paperbacks. I'm going to have audiobooks. I have most of them in CD form, so you'll be able to get audiobooks. Posters, including, I've had people ask me about Pearl's poster, and I'll be autographing those as well. I've also got the Draglings, and I'm excited to announce in August that I will have a box set with the Draglings book and an actual plush toy of the Draglings. So I'll be sharing that with you guys in the coming months, but you'll see all of these are coming to life. And my grandson has 2 of them, and that's the only reason why I don't have them to show you is because he refuses to let them go. Those are his. Have the board game. You can see, and it's the board game. It has the collector cards inside, and T-shirts. So we'll have a wide variety of items, and that'll go along with the Draglings that are coming out. So I'm really excited about opening the store up. You can also buy my ebooks online there if in both the Mobi, which is Kindle, and the EPUB, which is all of the other iBooks, Barnes & Noble, and all of that. So you can actually purchase the books there as well. So I'm expanding outward. Part of it is the frustration of dealing with getting buried, which I had one of the readers ask me today. She says, do reviews really matter for an author? And we had a really long discussion. She asked me if I would share it with you guys. She says, I'm sure I'm not the only one that, doesn't know this. But she goes, how important is a review to the author? And I explained to her that it's very, very important for a couple of reasons. One, a big one is the algorithm. The more you're getting reviews, then it helps push your author ranking up. And of course, the higher you are in the ranking, then the more visibility you get. And the only way, I'm the sole income earner for our family, so the only way for me to continue writing is, to be able to have that visibility so I can sell books. But for me, it's more than that. I believe in the stories. I believe in the books. I believe in the messages that I put in the stories. And one of the things is, is family, friendship, loyalty, and, overcoming, obstacles and being who you are. And it's okay to be who you are. And a lot of, stories nowadays, they're very dark and depressing and, yes, I have some violence in mind, but I try to moderate it. And, there's always that balance. Good always wins. And I always have the happily ever after. But I try not to get too dark. Some of them have just gone to me a little bit too far that way. And if that's, that's just not me. I absorb that negativity. So I have to kind of stay away from that. Otherwise, it pulls me down. It's one of the reasons I'm probably one of the few that have never seen Games of Thrones. I've heard it's really great, but I heard it's also very dark, very violent, very bloody, and a lot of really atrocious things happen in it. And, I'm one of those. I saw Titanic, and the guy dies at the end, so I've never watched it again. But you give me Avatar, and it's like, yay! The good guy wins, and he gets the girl, and that's my kind of story. So it's just the way I am. So that's the kind of stories that I like to share. And so one of the things, that helps get that recognition and everything is when readers leave a review. And the reviews help me with the visibility. It helps any author, not just me, but it helps the author with their author ranking. It helps let other readers know that, hey, this is an author worth taking a chance on. I really enjoyed her books. I like the way she writes. One of the biggest compliments I get is, I read your books over and over and over. So to do that, if you write a review and leave it, people are more likely to read that. Yes, I've got a wide variety. I've got some 1 stars. I've got all the way to 5 stars. It's that balance. If you didn't like the stories, it's not because I wrote something just so that you wouldn't like it. It just wasn't, the kind of book that you want to read. Just like there's some books that I recognize that it's not the author's work, it's mine. My taste, the type of books that I like to read. So, if you can, I know a lot of us lead very, very busy lives. I'll be the first one to admit. But I also realize how important reviews are. So I make sure when I order something that I leave a review. I'm getting really good at Yelping it. So I'm really good about leaving reviews on Yelp. And, if we're going, we like to use Yelp, for example, a great example. Whenever we go to these little towns, we like to go to local establishments. So one of the first things we do is we Yelp and we see, okay, what are some of the, I don't want to go to the chain stores, I want to go to a mom and pop restaurant. And so we'll look those up and, we'll see what the reviews say. And then that's what drives us there and helps them stay in business. So if you can, if you do have the time, you don't have to write a big, long, big block of stuff anymore. They allow you to write just like a couple of words. I think some people have just said good. But it helps if you just say why it's good. You know, just like a couple of sentences, 3 sentences if you can, to leave a review on the books. I would really appreciate it. And I know any of the other authors that you read would really, really appreciate it as well, because it does help. So there's my pitch for the reviews, and to explain why they're so important. And, you know, it's I think all of us working together, you know, we can make a better world. When I first started writing, I explained to this reader, I was working 1.5 jobs and writing. So I did that for 2 years, and then I got up out of bed one morning and I collapsed. And my husband said, that's it. You know, he says, you're going to have to make a choice. You either write or you work at the school board, but you can't do both anymore because it's too much. You're going to, you know, I want to have a long life, and as many of you know, we just celebrated our 31st wedding anniversary, and he says, I want another 30 plus years with you, and he's like, I'm not going to have that if you keep this up. You're going to drop dead. And I realized, you know what, he's right. I can't keep doing this. So in 2014, I worked out the year. I made sure I had all my obligations done and everything. I didn't want to leave anyone, you know, with loose ends or anything. And I began writing full time. And so that's where I realized my passion is. That's where my love for sharing the stories and the worlds and helping hopefully you guys enjoy escaping for a little while. One of my favorite things is, besides reading a book, is going to the movies. So I know how important it is to have that downtime and, you know, just to tell the world, you know what, I'm taking a break from you for a little while. I'm going to go into this one. So if you guys are like that, then I really appreciate anything that you guys can do. So, what else is going on? Oh, I told you guys I was going to tell you what Steve's up to now. Yay! So, everybody, I think, pretty much knows that my husband really enjoys doing astrophotography. And he's all self-taught. He's always been very, very good about learning. I think ever since we've been married, well, he had just graduated from the University of Florida when we met, and he's always learning something, and to keep his mind, you know, sharp and everything. So now he's building an observatory in the backyard. I don't know how big it's going to be. He's watching a lot of YouTubes. And he's currently, it's not quite dark out, but he's currently out there still working on it. He's hoping to have the floor done this morning. So whenever he gets his observatory done, the good thing about it is I can just share more pictures with you, because he'll be able to take more of the photos that I love sharing. And, you know, I just think that we live in such an incredible world, and I've learned so much about dark skies. You know, a lot of cities, especially in the Flagstaff, Arizona area and everything. I know that they were really good, but there's other cities in Arizona that have really pushed for dark skies. And I never really realized the impact light pollution has, not only on humans, but on plants and animals and insects. You know, so it affects the entire ecology. And then, you know, we read that it also doesn't deter crime, because most crime, like break-ins, are done during the day because they don't want to come in when people are there, which is usually at night. So, you know, there's a lot of, if you see me doing this, I'm swiping up comments. So if you know, learning more and more about dark skies, you hear me talk about Kissimmee Prairie Preserve, that's KPP, and I send that, you know, I give you guys a lot of photos and stuff of the animals and alligators. The last time we went there was alligators. So there was a lot of things that that depend on the darkness. And so KPP was Florida's first official dark sky area. And so we're trying to preserve that. So by preserving it, we're learning more and more about it. And through that, the Astronomy Club does a lot of outreach programs and is teaching the community not only about dark skies, but also about the universe that we live in. So I think it would be really, really cool to find out that we're not the only ones out there. And I kind of, after seeing all of the photos, I have to think that it's impossible for us to be. So anyway, there's so much going on. I know that right now I don't have everybody's questions. I'll try and go through and see once this is done. Let me see if I've got anything on my phone. I don't think I do. Lisa O'Hara is the one that gave me the question, by the way. I was going to introduce you guys to my inspiration for my draglings, part of it. Roman came over earlier, but he had to go home before I could introduce you. So it's probably just as well. He was fired up tonight. So I have to share this one little story. My daughter told me, she's, little boy, he's 2 years old, he's learning to get potty trained, and I guess she went outside and he had found a hose and decided he was going to try to, yeah, you got it, pee inside the hose. So she was just like, funny, she's just like, oh no. And she's like, you guys need to take him for a little while. So we, of course, had to laugh because I can remember all the things that our older brothers did. It's like coming in to say that they're going potty, because during the potty training, just to go back outside and water half the bushes in the neighborhood. So I think it's got to be a little boy thing. So I wanted to introduce you guys to Roman, but I didn't get a chance to tonight. But I'll try to get to another day. I'm going to keep this short tonight since I can't get to the questions here. I will answer all the questions on the Facebook once I've ended. And if you guys have anything else that you'd like, I'm going to try and start setting this up more regularly. Especially, like I said, now that I don't have the black eye, even though I do have the dent. Hopefully that'll go away. They seem to think it would. I literally, did the major face plant. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday night, and I'll be talking to you guys again soon. Bye.